Bell, the program coordinator for South Dorchester, Cambridge. I'm going to just start all over again. This is a new experience for me. Hello, everyone. I'm Laurie Bell, the Next Generation Scholars Coordinator from Cambridge South Dorchester High School, and I'm here with College Tell with Mrs. Bell. This is our Way to Be magazine, and now we are doing our Way to Be at Home series with Maryland Business Roundtable for Education. On our last College Tell with Mrs. Bell, we talked about Towson University, we talked about it being a larger school, and we talked about it being in a very urban area. Today, we're going to take a little bit of a different direction. Today, we're going to be exploring University of Maryland Eastern Shore, and I have a special guest with me today. This is Mr. Garrett. He is the director of the Admissions and Recruitment Office at University of Maryland Eastern Shore, also affectionately known as UMES. Good morning, Mr. Garrett.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. So as you heard earlier, we did talk about a larger school in our last College Tell with Mrs. Bell. So we thought we'd go a different avenue this time. And I'm wondering if you can give us a little bit of background on UMES, the number of students, the location, population, diversity, all of those good things that people would like to know.
Yeah, definitely. So, like you said, Alphonso Garrett, Director of Admissions and Recruitment at UMES, and in a pretty interesting position to be in at the university because through the lens of admissions, we get to see a pretty wide scope of the institution, and our job is to kind of know the research and kind of know the inner workings of the institution. But UMES, we've been around for quite some time. We were originally founded back in 1886. It was back then. It was about 9 students, 2 teachers, very tiny place. But fast forward now to 2020, we're now just around 3,000 students in total. We're currently ranked by U.S. News and World Report as one of the top 20 historically black colleges and universities in the United States. So pretty good accolades kind of moving forward from humble beginnings to where we are now. I mentioned again, populations close to 3,000 students in total. Many of our students, the majority for that fact, come from the state of Maryland, and they come from all over the state of Maryland. So if you think on the other side of the Bay Bridge, all the larger counties like Prince George's County, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Anne Arundel County, and all the way to Garrett County, on the borders of West Virginia and Pennsylvania. But back here on the Eastern Shore, pretty sizable population as well. About 25% of our student body are students who come from the various counties and areas of the Eastern Shore of Maryland. Pretty dynamic individuals, I would say, as well. We're a pretty diverse institution also. But I mentioned that we are a historically black college university. That's a huge point to our university's culture and our mission as well, because we were founded to serve a specific population that we're not being served by other institutions. But fast forward to today, pretty diverse. I would say the majority of our students do identify as Black and African American, but we have pretty sizable other populations there as well. Just over 13% of our population identifies as white or Caucasian. Around 5% identifies Hispanic or Latino. We have almost, I think, around 4% international students. And we have a sizable population of students who choose not to identify their race ethnicity as well. But it's a pretty interesting mix if you were to walk around campus when students were there, and you really kind of see folks from different walks of life, lived experiences, and what have you. It's, again, truly interesting place. Another key fact, I guess, characteristic about our institution is that we are a land grant university. So we're known as an 1890 land grant. So essentially, for those who aren't familiar with that terminology, the United States, to help train everyday citizens in, I guess, industrial professions like agricultural, technology, STEM things. Back then, they created an act, which is known as the Land Grant Act, that each state, as well as the District of Columbia, were provided with property to create a college or university to train in those areas. Here in the state of Maryland, like many others, at that point in time, education was segregated. So they had to come up with a second act in 1890 to assure that the underserved populations, primarily the Black and African American students, had equal opportunity, equality of education experience. So we're a part of that latter faction of the 1890 land grant institutions. So majors at our university are pretty popular. I guess for a long time, I guess from the beginning, are agriculture and technical professions. So things like whether it's traditional like agriculture, like general agriculture, agriculture education, agribusiness, plant soil sciences, things of that nature. Like things like you think about veterinary medicine, pre-vet, animal and poultry sciences, things like that have been popular from the beginning, but also the STEM field. So I guess back then we probably didn't call them STEM. They were
That's
more
right.
known as mechanics, I would say, back in those days. But you think about things like engineering, think of things like chemistry, biochemistry, biology, those science intensive majors. But fast forward today, some of our most popular majors are still remaining those areas of the STEM and agricultural professions, but we also have other majors popping in there, like criminal justice, for example, which is one of our most popular, because we are a fully comprehensive research university. And we like to say that we are the only doctoral research institution in the Eastern Shore of Maryland. So it's pretty
Wow.
great characteristics. So students are studying over 40 undergraduate majors and subjects, and we also have graduate and professional programs on campus. And for instance, unique programs like aviation sciences, whether you want to become a professional pilot or study the management aspects, we're currently the only institution in Maryland that operates that program. We're also the only place in Maryland you can study hospitality and tourism management as well. So pretty exciting things. So think general research institution, fully comprehensive, but some key areas there that we kind of stand out quite a bit from I guess our fellow institutions here in Maryland.
You have mentioned that you were on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, and that's where I'm located. That's why I said where.
Mhm.
Where on the Eastern Shore of
Oh
Maryland are you?
yes. So I guess we're considered the lower shore. We're located in Princess Anne. So we say it's one of the historic towns in Maryland. Our campus is beautiful. It's a tree-lined campus. It's kind of, you think of a college brochure on a movie or something. That's kind of how our campus looks. It's pretty. It's green. It's trees. Red brick buildings all over, and it's just over 1,000 acres of property there. So pretty expansive campus. In addition to
Mhm.
our academic facilities on campus. We do have research facilities there. We are a residential campus. Over 60% of our students do live on campus all 4 years or throughout their graduate and professional educations with us. A funny fact, when I first started working at the UMES, I actually lived on campus for the first couple weeks. So I always joke that I had the traditional college experience at UMES, even though I didn't go there as an undergraduate student. So it's pretty exciting.
You
Um,
had
but
a
our
little bit of a
but our
different
campus,
experience.
yep. And I was going to say that we normally always say, you got to come check us out, see our campus. But obviously, in the situation we're in now, if you can't physically see it, you can at least go to our websites. We do have a virtual tour available there, as well as we're creating other ones where people, if they drove by, we're going to have the option for that soon as well.
Very nice. Speaking of attending there and going to see the
Mhm.
campus, what do you look for in an applicant? What do you require SAT scores? Do you want essays? What are we looking for that would really make an applicant stand out?
I would say, well, the first thing to note is we do have an access mission, so we do want to make sure we're providing quality education experiences to students we feel it can be successful. So in our process, we're not looking for ways to say no; we're looking for ways to say yes. So essentially, we normally say if your students are meeting that college preparatory high school curriculum, I always kind of joke and say take some of the tough stuff. Don't pass out on math if you can take the higher level math, things of that nature. But depending on what you want to study, we really want to see that you're taking a college preparatory curriculum. So whatever your school calls that, sometimes it's called honors, advanced, AP, IB, dual enrollment. So we want to see you working towards taking college preparatory curriculum, but more importantly, that you're going to have the I guess the skill set to be successful once you get to the institution. So we'll look at your high school curriculum and preparation. We're going to look at your grades and your progress. And if you are successful in the classroom to the point that you have a 3.4 or higher cumulative GPA, we actually do not require the SAT or ACT to in the admissions process at the university. The only
Very
real exception to that is if you want to be a Division I athlete, then of course there's NCAA regulations involved. But for the true admissions process, just on the academic side, we don't need the test score to make an admissions decision if you have that 3.4 cumulative grade point average. Now,
Mhm.
say for example you don't quite have that GPA, doesn't mean you won't be admitted. At that point, we do request the SAT or ACT test scores. And there's no set minimum score you necessarily have to hit. It really depends on your overall profile, your course curriculum choice. So, say for example, some students will say, I kind of bombed the math SAT. Oh my gosh, what should I do? The first thing I asked my staff when reading the application is, what math are they taking in 12th grade? Because I want to see again, are you still preparing yourself for that next step? Because regardless of your test score, once you get the UMES, you're going to take math. If
Right.
you're interested in one of these STEM programs, like I mentioned earlier, they're going to possibly have to take up the calculus when they get to university. So we want to make sure you have those building blocks that we can help coach you along the way. So we believe based off the resources we provide, and we have a wide variety of resources in place. My colleagues and to share my neighbors in my building on campus, the Center for Access and Academic Success, they pretty much have the umbrella organization for resources. So if we feel like given the resources we have available, that you have the tools to be successful, we want to go ahead and proceed and offer you admissions in our process. So again, think ways to say yes. But I would say sometimes we can't say yes right away, but it's never a hard no. It's maybe we come up with a different option and route for you. So we do have a sizable transfer population at the university as well. So we do oftentimes recommend students consider going to their local community colleges. It's a
Mhm.
great way to get started, and essentially once you're at the community college, it kind of erases your high school experience. So we're going to look at that point at how are you performing at the college level. And so
Right.
at that point, again, you're taking your coursework, you're doing successful, and of course the major you want to study. So I wouldn't expect you to take business classes if you want to be an aviation major, for example. So some of
Okay.
that does play a factor also.
That's really great to hear. I love hearing that it's never really a hard no. It's how can we help you be successful?
Correct.
And there are plenty of students out there that may not like high school or are not always very successful in high school that do well in a college setting. So going to that community college can really be a good start as well.
Yeah, and it's really kind of wraparound resources. So I can think of a specific scenario off the top of my head that happened not too long ago this semester. Where I had a student in that situation where they wanted to transfer in, but we had to come up with that alternative plan. And when I mean the level of support, the first thing I did with the student was in my office. I called upstairs to the we call it CAS, the Center of Academic and Access and Academic Success. I spoke to their director, Miss Clark Shaw. I said, "Hey, I have this student. Here's the situation. I'm going to email you her transcript. Tell me what you think." Within 20 minutes, that student was upstairs talking to an advisor, being advised on what courses to take at the local community college, which out here is Warwick Community College. And
Mhm.
then her job at that point was to check in with the CAS advisor throughout the semester. Now, this is before she's a student at UMES. She's a student somewhere else. So when I say
Right.
we're really trying to find that pathway to be successful, that's the level of investment we're trying to have.
That is so nice. And it's so much help for students to be successful.
Mhm.
We didn't mention if you needed a college essay or not.
Oh, great question. So we do not require an essay in our process. However, we explain that if a student feels like that's going to add value, there's more to the story they would like to share, then they're definitely more than welcome to submit an essay with their application. And oftentimes, in thinking those ways to be successful, sometimes students may not choose to write an essay, and they may hear back from us asking us for some additional information. And oftentimes, I do ask maybe if you can write this situation down, provide us, in that situation. So sometimes I may ask for it if I feel like I need it, but by default, it's not a requirement. But if a student really wants to share more than their transcripts or grades or test scores will show, it is a great opportunity to kind of give us more of the full picture.
Excellent. And I just wanted to know, is there anything you would like our students to know that you haven't already told them? You've done a marvelous job.
Oh,
But if
awesome.
there's anything special about the university that we haven't mentioned for our students to be prepared.
Mhm. Yeah, so I would say preparation is key. So during this time, I know there's a lot of anxiety. We're in pretty stressful situations with it going on. But the main thing I would say is, thinking your health, especially like mental health or what have you. Don't try to overstress the situation. We're all in it together. The same information questions you may have, I have them too, and we're gonna figure it out together. So sometimes, when you call my office and ask, "What about this? What about the SATs? When is open house going to happen?" I don't have that answer right now. But when I do have it, I will share it. And I do understand you don't know that information as well. So this year is going to be a little bit different year for a lot of us, or all of us, I should say. But I would say it's kind of think, try not to overstress. The college search process is stressful enough on its own. So you don't need to add anything additional to it. And I would say just be open and stay in communication with us. I mentioned before, like the virtual visits, but beyond that, if you still want to talk to someone, similar to what we're doing today, our staff is having a virtual information sessions where you can register just like you're coming for a tour and have a session where we'll give you an admissions presentation, the ins and out of our process, learn more about the information. Every Thursday, we're on Instagram, where we have either a staff member or a current student answering questions. And in addition, our admissions counselors are open for one-on-one appointments and chats, whether it be a phone call or web chat. So again, we're really trying to make sure we're staying accessible in this time, and we're being as
Mhm.
transparent as we can. As we go through this, we're going to navigate it together. But I would say, don't forget about us. We're here. But again, over 25% of our student body are from the shore. So you probably have friends, family, etc., that connected to us in some way. So definitely reach out to those folks about their experiences, and also just don't forget about who's in your backyard. Because again, it's a great experience we have at the institution, real family dynamic. It's an interesting community to be a part of with this.
Thank you so much for your time today. You've given us a wealth of information, and I know this will stay on our Facebook page so people will be able to go back and go
Awesome.
through it again. So thank you again for all of your time.
So I have
I'm,
one more announcement before
oh,
we end. I'm
please.
sorry, I forgot to mention this. So I don't have my notes in front of me. So on April 24th, we will be hosting a live session just for students, or not just for, but targeting students from the Eastern Shore, and I guess the whole Delmarva region for that matter,
Mhm.
including Delaware. So that's where my colleague, Miss Jennifer Johnson, who is the local representative for everyone on the Eastern Shore, will be present to talk about the university, but also through the lens of someone who may be more closer here, like on the Eastern Shore. She'll be able to discuss like local internship opportunities, employment options after graduation. What is it like to be a commuting student? Because if you're local, you might choose to live off campus. So all those different things that are a little bit more catered to this audience. So you can check that out on our website as well. You can go to umes.edu/visit and sign up for that appointment. Or if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to us. We're working remote, but we're still answering our telephones, responding to emails, all that great stuff.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being with us today, Mr. Garrett. I appreciate the time that you've given us.
Oh yeah, awesome. Thanks for having us.
This is Laurie Bell. I'm finishing up our College Tale with Mrs. Bell with the Next Generation Scholars Program with Maryland Business Roundtable for Education. If you have any comments or questions, please reach out to us because we would love to hear from you. We would love to know that you're listening to us and that you're learning something from all of this. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.